News dump. News dump. This is December 5th.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? 4th, maybe?
Well, we're
5th.
recording on the 4th, live in front
okay.
of a studio audience. This gets
Sure.
released on the 5th.
Yep.
Not to confuse the audience at all, but I do want to. We are roughly 1 week away from another Mac and Goo trivia.
Yeah. This month we're going to be doing Game of Thrones. That's right, Game of Thrones. I am notably a massive Game of Thrones fan, so this is going to be an extra hard trivia. That'll be Wednesday, December 13th.
Yep, 13th is correct.
13th at Idle Hands, Craft Ales, 89 Commercial Street, Malden, Massachusetts, 7 p.m. Goo.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see the crowd we get for that, because obviously it's a massive show, but with the tail off at the end, is it still as beloved?
I feel like it is, and also, or at least those early seasons. But if you come dressed as a character, show us your Game of Thrones tattoo, whatever it is, points.
Yeah, if you come in and tell me Game of Thrones sucks too, I'll give you a point.
Yeah, points. If you just want to talk to us, we'll give you points. News dump. Before we get to our topic, hey, Mac, you see that photo of Hillary Duff?
What's going on today? I've been sent this photo by 3 different people, and this photo is like at least 2, if not 3 years old, of Hillary Duff working out at the gym with her absolutely bodacious badonkadunk. I'll tell you what, she's bumming. She's always been bumming. She's bumming since day one. I've been on an H Duff train since like '01, whatever year fucking the Lizzie McGuire show came out. Took my girlfriend to the Lizzie McGuire movie in 8th grade. Got a nice boob touch around the shoulder there, that move, the old put the arm around the shoulder and wrap around there. So I'm well versed in H Duff language. She's my favorite. She's like the only blonde girl on the planet I like. You don't need to send me Hillary Duff stuff. I've seen it. I've seen it before all of you. In fact, I might have taken the picture.
What I like the most is that this is what you're sent, while what people send me is Alf and Shrek stuff. News dump. Speaking of blondes, Mac, you got 2 right here. Barbie and Ken will be reuniting. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling will star as the parents of Danny and Debbie Ocean in the upcoming Ocean's prequel.
All right. I had just said that I maybe like 1 blonde on the planet. Margot Robbie's 2, so we're building a list here. Top 2 blondes. 2 things. Number 1, I really like the Steven Soderbergh Oceans films. I think they're better than the originals that came out, I think, in the 60s or 70s. 2, I guess 3 things. 2, I guess I'm all in on this combo because Marge, Bob, and Gosling were an absolute delight in Barbie. 3rd thing, though, a negative. Soderbergh will not be directing this. This will be a Jay Roach film. So Steven Soderbergh heist movies are some of my favorite movies of all time. He has a way. He knows how to make a heist movie go. He is one with John Carpenter is one with horror movies. That's what Steven Soderbergh is to heist movies. So I'm a little disappointed they couldn't get him back, but this should be good, right?
By the way, nothing to do with the topic, but I'm currently wearing my Target employee outfit.
Okay.
I have a red t-shirt and khakis on. Would you believe how many times I have been stopped at Target and asked where products are?
I believe it. You could also double as Jake from State Farm.
Oh, like a good neighbor. News dump.
Yeah,
Kim Kardashian, the actress, she will be the star of the new Ryan Murphy series.
Yeah, this is news if I've ever seen it. I'm kind of in on celebrities like Kim K one-off starring in an episode of something. That I'm okay with that type of thing. And we already saw her in American Horror Story for a couple episodes, which obviously was a Ryan Murphy show. Ryan Murphy's sort of the king of like really good ideas, and then sort of going down the path too far. He's done it with just about everything he's ever been attached to. But the intros to these ideas are usually awesome. Season 1 or the first thing about them are usually great. So maybe this series or this season with Kim K in it will be good. I don't know. Did you watch the season of American Horror Story with her in it?
I haven't watched since season 4.
Okay. I don't know whether she was good or bad, but now that I'm saying that, if she was atrocious, we probably would have heard about it. So maybe she was okay. I don't know. I'm intrigued enough by this that I'm actually gonna at least watch the premiere episode whenever that comes out.
Now, I could be wrong, but Murphy also might have been the first person to put Gaga in an acting role, so maybe he just has this eye.
Yeah, you might be right about that. At least a notable acting role. This series is reportedly going to be a high-end, glossy, and sexy adult procedural
Oh,
at a law firm. So a little Ally McBeal type sitch, but maybe a little more PG-13 rated. At the very least, at least she does have some like law knowledge. She was reading up to
she's not
become.
writing the show.
No, but I'm saying like
No,
she'll
no.
be able to understand what she's acting. She won't be completely bullshitting. So I don't know. Maybe it'll work. We'll see.
Ally McBeal, more like Assy McBeal.
Are you attracted? Hear me out here. Now,
Yeah.
I don't want to put Callista Flockhart down, but I'm going to have to make my point here. Harrison Ford, one of probably the 5 biggest movie actors of all time on planet
Yeah,
Earth
yeah.
ever.
Movie stars of all time, I'd say.
Yeah. Stars is a better word. He married Callista Flockhart, who I think could pass for a bird if she wanted to.
I'm not here to disparage one man's
How does that
taste.
work? How does that happen? Gives me hope.
The
Gives me
heart
hope.
wants what the heart wants, my man.
Yes, so.
News up. Oh boy, big news from last week. Maybe my favorite story. Bob Iger was at the New York Times Summit or something playing the old blame game, and he is trying to distance himself from the Bob Chapek era. Of course, he is the one who appointed him with that job, and then he took that job back as Disney CEO, ? But he said for, I don't know, the 100th time in the last handful of years that they need quality over quantity. And Disney creators have lost sight of what their job is. It should be to entertain first, not to message the audience, not to send messages or give learning lessons to the audience. They only need to make sequels when they have a story to tell and that they have made too many. And the Marvels, the recent Marvels movie, did not have enough executive supervision because of COVID.
So I have a multitude of thoughts. First, I want to jump back to Callista Flockhart real quick. I am reminded of the episode of Always Sunny where Dee turns into an actual bird, and that's
The Halloween brownout. Yeah,
incredible episode. Might have been the hardest I've ever laughed at that show when they cut and she's an actual bird.
Mm-hmm.
On this subject, Goo, here is the main issue with Bob Iger's statement. Disney is too big at this point and owns too many properties to make a blanket statement like this. It needs to be on a per thing basis. So Star Wars has a mission statement, Marvel has a mission statement. It needs to be isolated like that because that's how it should be, number one. And number two, your span of control, obviously, Bob Iger can do whatever you want. So you could force them to do certain things, but that's not the best way to make those properties. And I get Disney's been under fire mostly for quote unquote ruining Star Wars, but he needs to just almost hire a department head for each one. Of course, Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni are at the top of Star Wars. You got Kevin Feige at the top of Marvel. They need that sort of for every single lane and just let them make the decisions. You stay out of it, Bob Iger. This is akin to a sports owner dealing too much with the players. Let your GM stay out of it. That's sort of my takeaway here.
Do you believe that they have made too many sequels?
No, because that would mean relative to other things. And I think relative to other things, everyone's making sequels. So they're all operating in the same sort of sandbox here. Also, when you're building upon these Star Wars and Marvel legacies, even if it's not technically a sequel, if it's in the same universe, it sort of operates as a sequel. So there's nothing you can do about that.
But do all the Pixar movies need sequels?
No, so that's a good point. Sure. But again, like you shouldn't be running Pixar the way you are Star Wars. And that's my main issue here.
What are you going to do? I mean, he says this like it feels like every quarter he's like, there's too much and we need to really focus on like the few things, but they don't seem to be changing.
His real job honestly should be, and this is the one good thing Roger Goodell does, be the human meat shield. When Disney fucks up, whether it's Kennedy's fault, Filoni, Feige's, come out, take the bullet, let them keep doing them because on the whole, they're going to end up making good products. So take the blame when it sucks, let them reap the rewards and the benefits.
Nah, blame them. Blame them for everything. News dump. Speaking of the Marvels, it will have the lowest MCU box office run. They will no longer be reporting the film's international and global box office numbers. Right now, in its lifetime, 80.7 million. This finishes well behind The Incredible Hulk, which had almost 135, and Eternals at 165.
That's honestly a bummer. I enjoyed the film. It's a fun film. It's in the middle of the pack in Marvel. It didn't deserve this fate, that's for sure. One might argue this is the straw that broke the camel's back for Marvel, but I don't see it as that at all, especially coming off Loki. Like we're kind of ramping back up to something pretty good. We have Deadpool next year. It's just a bummer that the Marvels is wearing this on its face because it's not that quality. It's much better than anything in the bottom tier of Marvel.
News down. Kevin Feige has said that we will not be getting an Iron Man resurrection. He does not want to touch that moment, the killing of Thanos, the death of Iron Man Tony Stark, and he believes that if they went back to it, it would lose how special it is.
Wholeheartedly agree with him, and I'm glad that he's putting this to rest.
Yes.
That said, it's sort of contradictory to what they did with James Rhodes, because that diminished the Iron Man thing with James Rhodes, and Rhodes ended up being a
little
Skrull.
bit.
So that's it's not great. I don't know if he's I don't know if this was his decision, I guess is what I'm saying, because if it was his decision, he would have said this 2 years ago.
Be funny kind of too of well, you mentioned Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. Anything for Chris Evans, Cap, Black Widow? No comment.
Well, that's what I mean. Maybe he wanted to get him back, and Downey doesn't want to, or maybe Iger actually stepped in and said, "No, we're done. We're done."
No, I feel like Iger would be like, "Please get him back." He's a fucking moneymaker.
Yeah, but it would go against the whole sequel thing.
I feel like for Iron Man 4, and granted, it would cost them, whatever, $100 million just to bring back RDJ. That would still be box office gold.
No, because you couldn't do it and explain it away enough, at least for most Marvel fans.
Magic. It was a fucking wizard did it.
Agatha all along.
Yeah, news dump. Speaking of the Avengers, Kang Dynasty has found its new writer. Michael Waldron is set to write Kang Dynasty. He also wrote Loki and Strange Mom.
Yeah, he was the writer on Multiverse of Madness. I'll give him a second chance here. Multi Madness. Oh,
Multi Madness.
Good enough. Multiverse of Madness was a tremendous disappointment, even though it's not a bad movie. Kang Dynasty is setting up for another letdown if Michael Waldron wants the rope to hang himself with. So hopefully he redeems himself here and he gets back in our good graces, because obviously Loki's been pretty good, just big screen wise, not the success you would think.
News down. Sabertooth is confirmed for Deadpool 3. Images of Wolverine fighting the Sabertooth we have seen in the original X-Men movies.
Yeah, this is not the Liev Schreiber
No.
Sabertooth. This is the one. I don't even know who the guy is that played him.
It was a wrestler, right?
Yeah, I think it was. Was it Tyler Croft? Is that the name?
It might have been. It's not Nash, right? Because Nash was Super Shredder.
Nash.
Yeah.
Big ass dude. But a couple awesome stills or images from set where Wolverine, you can see, is throwing a claw punch towards the head, and then you see Deadpool carrying Sabertooth's head. So every image that gets released from this movie makes me happier and more excited to see it.
I think they will mention Liev Schreiber, right? They almost
I actually wouldn't be surprised if he also shows up as Sabertooth.
News down. A little bit of controversy on the internet, Mac. Did you see this? Did you hear about this?
No. I am looking at this photo that you have on our rundown here, and set me up here. Tell me what's going on.
So it is the cover of The Dark Knight Returns, I believe 1988.
Okay.
And it was revealed that Frank Miller intended for that Batman. It is a silhouette of Batman in a lightning strike.
Yeah.
For him to be front facing. When you have looked at this image in the past, how did you interpret it?
So I'm sure I've come across this, but I've never really studied it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked at it initially, I guess you would tend to believe that that's his right arm extended. But the minute I read front facing, it clicked in my head. It's like one of those things, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Exactly.
To me, it's very clearly leading with his left hand and raining down with like a Superman punch type thing. And like Obviously, Batman would be a righty too. He's not a lefty, so that makes more sense.
Yeah, because I had always, when I'd seen the image in the past, I had always assumed back. And
Yeah.
then in Batman vs Superman, they also kind of did a still of this, and it is Affleck from the back.
Huh. Okay. I don't remember that shot, but
It's an iconic shot
I
from an iconic movie, from an
yeah,
iconic director.
like I said, once you say front facing, it like pops at me, and it's like
Yeah.
obvious that it is. And for a cover of a comic book too, it wouldn't make a ton of sense for it to be the back of Batman, just be all
Oh,
cape.
speaking of Batman, news dump. WB executive Zaslav. Is it Victor Zaslav? Or is that a hockey player?
I think you're
Richard
thinking of Victor
Zaslav?
Zaz.
That's Victor Zaz. But he said that the cancellation of Batgirl, it's a $100 million movie. And to know not to release it, to know not to put the extra $30 million in there, this has nothing to do with tax write-offs. In order for them to cancel the movie, that took courage.
I actually would say it took cowardice because
Yes.
they're 99% down that path. Everything was made. The movie was fucking made. They probably would have had to dedicate that to maybe reshoots or something.
Yeah.
Just give us what you shot. You've already missed the mark 85 times. 86 isn't going to kill you. You're already dead, so you might as well give us that movie.
It's almost like they didn't realize they have a streaming service that is completely dedicated to whatever they want to put on.
How the fuck you still putting Titans on TV and you wouldn't give us Batgirl? You shitting me?
It's just so funny of like, yeah, we went to the artists, the people that, put their blood and sweat into this movie and said, we're so courageous that we're not going to put out your movie. I know that we've already given you $100 million to make this, and tax write-offs mean nothing. Keep that in mind.
Disappointing is what this is.
Are courageous. News dump. Speaking of DC properties, and I believe this is going to be on Max, question mark? I know you put it on the rundown.
I'm assuming so. I actually didn't look that far ahead.
But there is a Suicide Squad anime. We got a trailer and some stills. This looks fun.
Yeah, I really don't like the classic anime style animation. I don't know how you feel about that, but it turns me off to a lot of anime cartoons. Maybe that's just a me thing. However, I do think that there is room for some Suicide Squad stories in an animated world, and so I will give this a chance.
I mean, I already watched the Harley Quinn show, which is a lot of Suicide Squad, Batman,
Yeah, this seems obviously much more serious than that, though.
News dump. Got a trailer for Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This is telling us her odyssey, her, of course, being Furiosa, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. We also get our first look at the heavily prosthetic Chris Hemsworth.
First thought about this goo is a horrible name for the movie. It should just be called Mad Max Furiosa. It makes way too much fucking sense. Number two, I really like Anya Taylor-Joy. I really didn't like Fury Road. So obviously Furiosa was introduced in Fury Road. This is a prequel, an origin of sorts. So I'm kind of torn as to how I'm viewing this movie. I love Hemsworth too, so I'll probably see it. Fury Road, I know you liked it, but did you love it?
I'm not sure if I loved it, but I feel like
absolutely crushed during award season and stuff. Like, it blew my mind how much people enjoyed that movie. I'm fine with someone really liking that movie.
It looks really good, and this also.
Oh, I thought it looked like shit.
The look of it. I know. I think
the CGI in Fury Road was terrible. The practical stuff was great. The CGI was terrible.
I disagree. I think it all looks pretty good. And also,
the first 10 minutes of that are some of the worst CGI I've seen in a while.
What I also love is just how disgusting everyone looks. Just gross.
I don't know if I love that, but you're into that type of stuff.
Well, yeah, I'm into dirty people. Thank you, Mac.
This comes out in May. I'm sure it's going to make buku bucks and do well. I'm not super looking forward to it.
Speaking of making money, news dump. Got a trailer for Godzilla X: The New Empire. And when I read this, I was like, is this a math problem? Godzilla X Kong divided by Mothra plus Ghidorah.
Yeah, I don't know. At least they've given up like the human element. It looks like they're just going to give us full
Like
monsters, which is
sprinkling them in, like Brian Tyree Henry is in the
yeah. Our
trailer
main
here, but
complaint, or
yeah.
my main complaint from these movies and this franchise has been too much of a human element. So maybe they're just going to go all in on Monster Mania. We get a new look for Godzilla in this goo.
Yeah, pink purple.
Yeah, very Mac and Goo type look with the pink and purple. I kind of dig that. I don't know if this movie's going to be any good. In fact, I don't know if any of these movies have been any good.
Kong Skull Island is pretty good.
Kong Skull Island is a lesson in how to waste a tremendous cast. That cast was loaded, and they didn't need anyone. They could have had faceless people.
I actually really like that movie, and I love the fact that it's all set during the daytime, so you can see all of the animation, all the CGI. It looks great. John C. Reilly is fantastic in the movie, and outside of like one or two scenes that are a bit over the top, I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah, I think it's meh is the word I'd use for it. A waste of Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson. Are they going back to Kong Island on this movie, or is this a new island?
It looks like there is. I mean, they're definitely at the center of the earth for a part of this.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it looks a little better than Kong vs. Godzilla, the one that we got last time.
Yeah.
But I'm also questioning, and I know I've seen this on the internet too, why is Godzilla running? Right?
Why not? What do you want him to do? He can't fly.
He's too big to run. He should be walking at a brisk pace.
You want him to walk like Michael Myers?
Yeah, walk at a brisk pace.
Goo, speaking of Godzilla, this movie out in theaters right now, Godzilla -1. Every single person I've heard talk about it or tweet about it.
Isn't it a show?
No.
I think it's a show.
No, this is a Japanese movie called Godzilla -1. Everyone is loving this, saying one of the best movies of the year. And I think it was only like a $30 million budget. So we might have to see it and review it in the next couple of weeks, especially if we got nothing to talk about. It's literally crushing. What you're talking about is the show Monarch on Apple TV, which is attached to this Godzilla universe. Godzilla -1, a separate entity altogether.
News down. Got a trailer for The Boys season 4. Not a ton here. We get a look at a new superhero
teaser trailer more than anything.
Division between the people that follow Homelander and Starlight, and it's Homelander learning how to let the people do things for him almost.
Yeah, this seems like once again it's going to touch on a lot of topical type of stuff. We get a look at two new bad people, or two new members of the Seven. You get this chick who is very clearly pro Homelander, as well as the two chicks actually very pro Homelander. So that'll be interesting. They're basically just building a squad of villains now. So I don't know how that's going to play out. Oh, well, we have an idea of how that's going to play out. This trailer made me hate Ryan even more. I want that son of a bitch to die. I want Butcher to fucking cut his head off.
That'd be great, but don't they need him now for... Although we've already talked about this, he probably wouldn't go to the university there. God, you.
I think now that we've gotten Gen V and seen a couple of those characters, I don't think we need Ryan to kill Homelander anymore. I think Gen V will help us kill Homelander.
Speaking of Ryan, speaking of Gen V, news down. Another Boys spinoff show. This one set in Mexico.
Mexico. Viva la Mexico.
Nice. Well done.
Diego Luna from Star Wars. He's maybe the worst character they've given us. Top 3 worst characters they've given us over the last 5 years.
I got to watch Andor still.
Yeah, he's Cassian Andor. And Gail Garcia Bernal set to star in this. And I guess I'm in. Like, at this point, anything attached to the Boys, I'm in on. I don't see why I wouldn't.
I'm in. This might be a little oversaturation, but also we thought that going into Gen V possibly, and that was pretty fucking good.
And instead, it just blew our dicks off.
Yeah. Yes. News dump. Like the character who blew the other character's dick off.
Yeah, there you go. Bang.
Got a trailer for Fallout, or a teaser. What do you think?
So these are very popular video games dating back to like 2006, 2007. I think was the first year the first Fallout came out. This will be coming to Amazon Prime. And honestly, I've never played a second of these games. My college roommate used to love these games. I watched him play quite a bit. And honestly, kind of boring video games. But watching the video games led me to believe this might be a cool area for a show or a movie to operate in. And we're finally going to get that. And judging this off of the success of The Last of Us, I think this has a really strong chance to be one of the best shows of the year.
News down. got a trailer or a teaser for House of Dragon Season 2. This is coming out in 2024, I believe. I have not seen Season 1, still have that bad taste in my mouth of Game
okay.
of Thrones.
Yeah.
But I feel like once I do, dive back in, dip myself back in there,
Yeah.
I will
Get
like
your
it.
pen back in that ink.
I'm just not ready for it yet.
Okay. So I was
Yeah.
going to ask you, because now that you say that, I forgot that you didn't watch Season 1, but I was assuming you had since. I was going to ask where House of the Dragon would rank amongst the Game of Thrones seasons, because as we were just talking about The Boys, Gen V ipso facto is a season of The Boys.
Yeah.
And I would like to know if House of the Dragon is ipso facto a season of Game of Thrones, or if it's a tier below.
I'll let you know once I finish Andor.
All right, cool.
News dump. Got a trailer for True Detective. This with what's her name there? Blanking on the
From
actress.
Panic Room.
Yes.
That's where you know it from.
Yes, I know her from Panic Room. Clarice.
Jodie Foster.
Thank you, Jodie Foster. I'm pretty sure that the killer is going to be quite obvious. It's going to be the Ice King, who, his ice clown, his ice crown got stuck. His ice clown, whatever the headline was.
Season 4, True Detective, is going to be titled Night Country. I am intrigued and confused by this because we didn't title the other 3 seasons, so this is interesting. It's going to be set in Alaska with Jodie Foster starring as like our main detective, as well as Callie Reese. I hope I'm saying that right. I've never seen her in anything from the trailer. She looked pretty good. This is coming to Max pretty soon, January 14th, just over a month away. Season 1 of True Detective on the short list of greatest seasons of television of all time. If someone said it was the best, I wouldn't argue with it. Season 2, not that good. In fact, borderline bad. Season 3, I thought was borderline great. Not nearly as good as season 1. But season 3 was pretty great. So if this just isn't season 2, I think we're going to like it.
News down. MaCaulay Culkin has gotten his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Number 1, I have no idea the process of how they choose who goes on the Walk of Fame and why after a certain amount, but it was quite heartwarming. Catherine O'Hara was there. His wife, Brenda Song, was there, or her girlfriend. I don't know if they're married or not.
I think they're married. Yeah.
But it was a nice little ceremony.
I wouldn't be surprised if you got to pay to get on the Walk of Fame. They're like, hey, we'd like to honor you, but you got to pay $10,000.
It's one of those like awards where you have to pay to enter.
Yeah, I think so. That's like the Better Business Bureau. That thing's a whole sham. You got to pay to be a part of the BBB. It doesn't actually. It's not out there to help you. They almost threaten you. It's fucking.
Should we do an entire podcast on shams? Just do a big expose.
Just shams, and we'll just yell sham.
Oh, look at these frauds. They're so fraudulent.
And just keep playing the audio from I think you should leave the limo sketch.
News up. We got our list of actors on actors. I believe this is the Hollywood Reporter, and I also believe that the Robert Downey Jr. and Mark Ruffalo interview, they interview each other, the actors interview the actors. I believe that one is already available. Yeah. These are always fun.
I've never been a big fan of these. I like watching like the 3-minute clips that come of them.
Yes. Yeah. No, I will watch the clips every year. I will never watch the full hour to 90 minutes of it.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much ass kissing. I want more. I want them to pit rivals against each other. I don't want friends.
Well, speaking of that, Margot Robbie and Cillian Murphy, the rivals of the summer.
Ooh. No, they're just going to keep smutzing about how good the other movie was.
What I really wanted was for Cillian Murphy to do the interview like he was Oppenheimer, naked in the chair, and just see how uncomfortable Margot Robbie would get.
I hope maybe Margot Robbie would play the Florence Pugh role.
That wouldn't be bad.
That would not be bad at all.
The other ones are Emily Blunt and Anne Hathaway, Emma Stone, Bradley Cooper, Carey Mulligan and Michael Fassbender, Jeffrey Wright, Taraji P. Henson, just to name a few.
Which one are you looking forward to most in there?
I think the one that we see the most clips from, because once again, not going to watch the whole thing, would probably be Robbie and Murphy.
I'm oddly looking forward to the Carey Mulligan and Michael Fassbender one, just because they have been through like the whole gauntlet in the last like 15 years as an actor and actress. So I bet that one's going to be sneaky great.
News down. Speaking of Oppenheimer, the fella who played Einstein in the movie, Tom Conti, said that he hated his mustache, saying, "I hate hair that long. Can't stand having a mustache. You can't eat soup, spaghetti, anything like that. Life is greatly diminished with this hirsute appearance."
As two men who don mustaches, you more often than I
Yeah.
have never really had this issue with my mustache, but also mine doesn't grow as bushy as yours does.
I will say, it never stopped me from eating soup or pasta, but in the final weeks of my last mustache, I constantly found food in it.
It's so fucking gross.
So I understand where he's coming from,
Yeah.
and maybe I should just clean my mustache more.
That seems like a thing you should do. Yeah, I'd agree with you on that
Like
one.
I was eating a burrito, and 5 minutes later, I realized there was a giant dab of hot sauce in my mustache.
It's corn.
They're like, "Yeah, dude, sorry that you're in this award-winning movie and you had to grow a mustache."
Yeah, not for nothing. Like he's in maybe 15 minutes of the movie total. So how often did he have that mustache on? Would he wear it for
Also,
3 days?
I mean, no offense to him too, but how often are you eating soup?
Yeah. What's the intersection there of you having to film as
I
as
wasn't
Einstein
able to
and
have
then
my daily
desiring
soup.
soup?
Yeah, I know.
Just don't eat soup for 4 days, dude. You're all set.
Or when you're eating soup, just eat it like this. Just cover your mustache.
Or hear me out. Eat soup before you go to hair and makeup. How about that?
Or just drink the soup.
This seems like a Tom Conti issue now that we're talking it out. He's just a moron.
The guy playing Einstein couldn't even figure out how to eat fucking soup. Christopher Nolan sitting there watching him trying to eat soup. He's like,
just shaking
"Why
his
did
head
we
like, what did
hire
I
this
do?
guy again?" What if there was a line in the movie of
Boy,
like,
this Einstein's a real fucking
no,
moron.
it's RDJ, and he's like, yeah, and you can have Einstein join your project too, and he's like, he's a scientist of the past. He can't even eat soup anymore.
It just cuts him in the corner, combing things out of his mustache.
Have you seen him eating pasta recently? And he's doing like the twirl and he's cutting it with scissors. There was a better movie to be had. We just figured it out.
What an odd thing to complain about. You were on set for 4 days and complained that you couldn't eat soup for 4 days.
News Dump. That'll do it for this episode of News Dump. Check us out at the end of the week. We'll be live to tape at the Alamo Draft House down the Seaport. They are freshly open, discussing the movie Elf.
Which we did a top 10 Christmas movies at one point, right? I couldn't find it.
I don't know. I don't think we have, actually.
Huh. Maybe we should do that too. But I would say if we were to do that, what do you think Elf would be number one?
Hold that thought, baby.
Oh.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh.
Pig market tease.
News Dump.